using photos of rooms that need to be updated. I like to recreate a room to make it better, either more functional or more appealing or safer. So here's my kitchen. So the reason why I attacked this kitchen, poor man style attack, refurbish, do it yourself, whatever, is because the sink was leaking at one point, and the sink is also fractured. It was a ceramic cast iron sink. And the fracture was just an absolutely searing hot pan on an already wet sink surface. So what I did was I scrubbed it with a wire brush and then used apple cider vinegar to get everything off. And then I put a really thick fluorine polyurethane coat on the iron that was exposed, so it didn't put rust in all of our dishes and food, because that would be even worse than trying to redo the whole kitchen. So I finally got up the guts. After I sealed that sink, I started making a plan to fix the kitchen. There's also a cabinet right next to the dishwasher that absolutely cannot be opened. Like, you have to smash the dishwasher back into the wall to get into the cabinet, and I thought, well, that's stupid, useless. So there was also a few more cupboard or drawers on the other side that were difficult. And it's taken me a long time to put this video together. All the pieces were scattered on my computer, my phone, and then some got deleted. And I kept working on the kitchen, and then a whole bunch of other stuff happened, like a couple ER visits and losing my job and, you know, life and stuff. So anyways, this is a fractured sink, and it was fractured. A pretty long piece was missing, and it definitely exploded in my face when I put that hot pan on there. And that was the problem. It was also leaking a lot around the faucets up there. The back wood behind the faucet area, back of the sink, was soaked. And it was wet all throughout the cabinet below. And so I thought, okay, this is 1960s cheap wood, super cheap plywood board. And either I try and sand it and paint it or polyurethane it, or I just shred the thing. And so that's what I was mad enough to shred it at that time. So this is the sink opening. The old copper pipe sticking out of the wall there absolutely decayed, and I did have to deal with that. But I dealt with that a few years before the sink top part was leaking. Turns out the little hot and cold water valves down by the floor in that area were also dripping. So I'm kind of thinking there's water in between the floors of the house, you know, above the basement, below the kitchen floor, but I don't know. I've never looked that deep. So you can see I've tried shredding and removing the plywood board. I didn't have the right tools for the job. I had a crowbar and a hammer and a handsaw and a circular saw. And I just didn't know enough to be confident to start circular sawing inside on the floor where the pipes were. Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I was shredding all the moldy stuff out, and this 1960s plywood board just absolutely turned into a basket. And then I finally did my best. I ripped everything out and I put down foam padding because I was going to put in these little skinny plastic tiling. That's, you know, floor tiling. And then I cleaned up the back, plugged up the drain, turned off the water, everything's disconnected. And that bigger pipe there is for the dryer exhaust, so that had to stay there. And I cleaned up the walls and I polyurethaned the walls so that if it does get wet again, it's going to be more difficult to soak in and create mold. I also had to put a little 2x3 board across the top of that wood wall in order to complete the level of where the countertop would sit. So the sink would sit level. So this is leveled. As much as the camera fisheye bubble thing is working against me here, that's leveled. The cabinet next to it had to be pulled apart when I cut off that countertop with a circular saw, and that was the most dangerous part for me, was the circular saw. So the 2x3 frames work, and I made it structurally sound. It is solid, and I could sit on that and it was solid. And you know, I'm 120-ish, 130, and so that was the beginning of where the countertop would sit. And then I would finish off the far end where the countertop is and make sure that back line is level as well. Below the tiles there's a piece of wood, horizontal. And then I got rid of my old faucet because it just kind of leaked and I wasn't really up for fixing it. I also got rid of the cheap sprayer that came with my new faucet, and the new faucet's much better than the old faucet, but the sprayer was a piece of junk. So the new sink is gonna be a normal double bowl sink, and it's gonna be stainless steel because that is way easier for me to lift. That ceramic cast iron sink was about the same weight I was, and I can't believe I got that out of that kitchen countertop and wheeled it on a dolly outside and dumped it. Because not that it was a bad sink, it wasn't, but it became unfixable for me, and that makes me mad. C'est la vie, sink. You did me well. Bye. I had big plans for the flooring. I wanted these tiles, but Walmart had these super cheap stick-on tiles, and that was a huge mistake. Those things are a piece of junk. Like, you literally have to have polished, perfectly clean laminate flooring already down for this stuff to stick, and it can't have any textures because this stuff has texture. And if you try and stick something to it, it just, I mean, the amount of dirt, grime, and cat hair that stuck to it was impossible. I couldn't deal with it. So yes, I did the horrible deed of scraping up old laminate flooring. That was absolutely hard dried on the floor. So I got out the old edge trimmer tool from the shed and scraped it up. This was also really difficult, getting everything unstuck from the cabinet itself, and you can see it's just a shredded mess. I had to clean that up and deal with it while I was putting down tiling later. But like I said, this is the poor man's way. I absolutely couldn't afford anybody to come in and do this. And I had no spouse at this time and was sick in my kitchen, and I had enough gumption to do it. So in goes the Hardy backer. I know how to put that in there. So finally I get the flat face board up in between, and I have framed both pockets above each cabinet door area. I've got the plumbing in there, and everything's working. I've also laid out and cut, but didn't permanently put down the little flooring boards. And at the moment, they're still not fully attached because I wasn't sure what was underneath this kitchen cabinet. And if somebody buys the house and decides, well, this is junk, I'm going to rip it up, then I wouldn't put the effort into attaching these little laminate strip flooring boards. And here's the two top face plates put on, and it looks okay. This is more of veneer type face boards. They're super, super thin, and they would look a lot better if I had stained them. So I think that would be the future project, is to actually make the whole face level, because all of those are not the same level. Because the cupboard doors below had to be set in to the frame, so the top of it is not the same level as the middle board. And here's a quick picture of the doors on and repainted. This is the color I really like, the dark teal with the copper knobs and handles. The reason why it's yellow on the other doors is because when the realtor came in, it was still a hodgepodge, and they said make it uniform and that should help. And honestly, no, it didn't help. It just made it look like crap. So I should have just kept going with the teal cabinet doors. But it was my stupid idea to use yellow. I should have just finished everything off with the teal and polyurethaned it and made it pretty. But I tried to go fast and get it done quickly. And this is what happens. So previously on the right-hand side, there was a cabinet with a door and 3 shelving layers in there. And all of that had to be opened up and took the door off and leveled the top of it so that the whole countertop could be put in level. So this was the tag-along situation of putting in a countertop, is this extended cabinet area. And I didn't want to cut the countertop in half and then have a weird chunk left over. It was very expensive to buy it. And so what I did was just leveled the whole thing. There's a drawer and then 2 shelving areas. So there's 3 levels of shelving there when you get down to it. And all of that had to be leveled. So I did cut a bunch and finally got the countertop installed after I reframed this and put the cabinet door back on. And honestly, that was not the hardest part. Using the circular saw was the hardest part. I couldn't keep it down, and it jumped back at me at my stomach. So I thought, yeah, I almost died. And I'm just not very skilled with these power tools or experienced. But the more I work with them, obviously, the more experienced I get, as long as I keep all my digits in my blood in my guts and stuff. So I had successfully re-plumbed everything below. It was kind of a hodgepodge mess, and it would get plugged up, and I had a grinder, and that died. It absolutely died. And so I just got rid of it, took it to the recycling center, didn't bother fixing it, and got a couple screens for the sink drains. So this is the plumbing that's in there right now. I ran upstairs and took a picture of it. That water filter system, I'd have to spend $250 to get new filters. And so I put that off. I have a pitcher that filters water up above. The dishwasher drain is that crinkly tube. I had to redo the drain system for both. And I put the water filtration drainage tube, the black tube with the black clamp on the right-hand side of that drain, over there because it was in the middle of the pipe and got clogged with food. A couple of the nozzles down here had some trouble. One of them was replaced. I guess it had absolutely did not turn off and flooded my kitchen, and the dishwasher was attached to it. I was trying to move the dishwasher, and the water started seeping downstairs, and that's not a big deal until you realize the house electrical panel is right below this kitchen sink area. So that became a problem. I freaked out. And there is what the cabinet looks like right now. The polyurethane I put on there wore off. I should have stained it. I used the old floor tiles, the new ones, that didn't get hairy and gross. And I used some fresh ones and put them above the doors. The doors are done nice. The handles are okay. There's some copper and kind of a worn look to them. They were black, and some of that is showing. So it looks kind of country chic, country chic, country chic, whatever. So this is functional. It functions. And that was the point, is to get it stopped dripping, get it back together, hook it up so it's stable and sturdy. It doesn't look super amazing, but that can be modified later because I didn't have a kitchen plan. Didn't know my colors and textures. So this is as far as my progress has gotten. The fridge is fairly new still. The stove works. Dishwasher was new. And I have made the sink work and the plumbing underneath it. So the kitchen sink and the cabinets, magnetic. I rebuilt this. It works. Used the old hinges, the old magnetic system. There it is. Redid the plumbing. Things are done right. Drain from the dishwashers here. Filtration system. Have it right there. That's actually better, so the food particles don't get jammed in the tube, as opposed to having it here. That's where food backs up. Got hot water and got cold water. Also have the vent from the dryer, and sink is bolted down. So is the countertop. Everything's very sturdy. It's all done really well for a person who's just been watching their grandpa do stuff since she was a little kid. Got the caulking, got the drains on right, everything's sealed, nothing leaks. Okay, so the floor, I just cut these to fit, laid them down in there. They're on top of OSB. I wasn't sure I wanted to keep that there. This, I didn't sand or stain or anything. And I had to rebuild the countertop, get it so the butcher block can actually fit. And then I caulked in between there so that it's not too much of a gap difference, not too big of a gap. Sink is caulked on as well. Back the countertop caulked. I messed up. I actually double caulked back there because it didn't look like it was working out well. This is where the circular saw jumped at my belly. Almost got me twice. So I didn't have the right blade on, and I was probably not using it right. Almost died. Yeah, that's great. So anyways, and then around the back here, I rebuilt this cabinet. So I had taken the drawer and the cabinets out to get it under there, and that closes, works. Plant's trying to kill me. And I reattached the boards and stuff. Had to retrim a couple pieces. Otherwise, everything works. But that was to get this top portion of wood to be level, and it was just kind of something I had to do. So here's what I want to do. I want to use my Photoshop program that I bought like 25 years ago and actually redo a kitchen without having to chuck everything in the trash and scrape and paint, and that stuff's fun too, but I'd rather have a plan first, which is why having the program and designing a plan and being able to change colors and switch things out is kind of fun. So I've been practicing with images I find online, but not using them on YouTube or anything because they're not my images. But I will take images of kitchens and redo them in other rooms in the houses. So if I could get people to willingly send me photos for free to redo, I would gladly do that. As for the floor I tried to do myself, and it was with whatever tiles I could find at Habitat and that I could afford at Home Depot. And I got some off Craigslist and yard sale. So these little pieces are hodgepodge together. A lot of them are porcelain, the very large pieces. The marble square pieces are porcelain as well, but the white are not. And there's too much of a difference in depth. And so I catch my heels or my toes on the sharp corners of the tiles. Obviously, this all has to be chiseled out. The clear wall, skinny, narrow tiles, and the marble square tiles need to all come out. So as far as the floor goes, that's the parts that need to be repaired, just the little squares. And then level everything, probably regrout. That sanded grout did dissipate a little bit too much, so I know I did not mix it right. Behind the stove, I had to replace some stuff. There was a hole, and it was pretty gross looking. So what I did was I found gray tile at Habitat, and I had just enough to fill in the back portion of this stove and along the wall to the left of the kitchen. And so this gray tile, I want to get more of it. It's pretty basic, and I want it to go all around the whole kitchen, because all other colors up against this gray kind of look a lot better. And the kitchen's already got a massive amount of lighting. It could be nuclear. I tried doing this on my phone with the little photo editing coloring pencil, and that looked terrible. This is the plan. Butcher block all the way around, fix the floor tiles so my feet don't get stabbed. That's great. The faux wood paneling from Home Depot is going to go inside the back of all the cabinets. If I'm skilled, I'll make new cabinet doors. The cabinetry is going to be a dark reddish brown mahogany color. Same thing with the framing around the lights. So I just like the gray tile on the wall, but then keeping the warm dark mahogany wood on the cabinets. The countertops are a warmer tan brown wood and kind of matches the peach ceiling and the peach tiled floors. So it warms up the whole kitchen, especially when this kitchen's located in a house in the northwest hemisphere where we get 6 months of gray skies and only 6 months of kind of a summer feel. Here's another option, is darkening all of the cabinets above. But I thought, wow, that's even darker. The lighting is really good in here. There's even lights under 2 of the cabinet sides, either side of the kitchen sink there. There's lighting underneath the cabinets. So there's 4 large lights and 1 small light on the ceiling itself, plus 3 more, actually 4 more below the cabinets. Nuclear. That's a pretty moldy, cloudy window. It's pretty fuzzy. I gotta stop using the word pretty. And a lot of these old aluminum windows have leaked into the wall below the window, so it stinks. So yes, this is the plan, and I think it's a good one, as long as I can fix the floor and get everything to look nice. The house would be more sellable. That's what I'm trying to do, and or make it actually something I like to cook in. Either way, this has got to get fixed because it's just chaos at this moment. A little before and after. Hope you enjoyed watching. I actually like redoing different rooms and designing colors and trying to fix things is kind of interesting to me. I might do a few more of these, but I'd have to borrow some people's pictures of the kitchen with their permission, of course. Your basic single mom, do it yourself on a budget. Subscribe, comment, and like. Thanks.